Welcome to another edition of the In the Ring Show with your host Devious Damien, and this is how I would book WrestleMania 28. The opening match would start off with the Divas title, Beth Phoenix versus Karma. Now, here's how I would set up the match. This coming week on Raw, Beth Phoenix would be talking about how she doesn't have a match for WrestleMania because she has no competition. She's beaten every diva she can possibly beat, and she has nothing to prove, so therefore, she doesn't need to wrestle at WrestleMania. All of a sudden, Karma's music hits. Beth Phoenix kind of looks like a deer caught in the headlights, doesn't know what to think. Karma basically challenges her at WrestleMania, and the next few weeks, you get Karma trying to prove she can beat Beth. Beth just narrowly escaping by the skin of her teeth. They clash at WrestleMania. Karma wins the Divas title. The next match I would book would be, I guess I would have to say it would be the tag title match, which I think should be Kofi Kingston and R-Truth versus Epico and Primo. I'd have Kofi Kingston and R-Truth win the belts because I think they're more over than Epico and Primo. And I'm hoping that maybe, just maybe, WWE actually gets behind their tag team division like they used to back in the day. Next, I would actually book Randy Orton versus Kane in a last man standing match. So, you get, I think I'd put Kane over in this match. Only so then that way, you can kind of progress the feud on past Mania a little bit, Just, maybe take it over the next few pay-per-views, just kind of stretch it out a little. Let's see, the next match I think I would put on is, I guess I'm going to say Cody Rhodes versus Big Show. Now, I'm not sure what I would do here. Only because I want Cody Rhodes to go to that next level, put him up in the main event picture because I feel he belongs there. Actually, I think I would have him retain here, then drop the title down the road a little bit, just so you can progress him up past that mid-card level. Next match I would have going on is the Team Laurinaitis versus Team Long. Now, here's how I book this match. Now, mind you, I'm going to do this under the premise that, every superstar who's injured could come back at WrestleMania. So, I would have Laurinaitis, have only 5 members of his team announced. And then Long follows suit by only having 5 of his members announced. Then you have Laurinaitis at WrestleMania say, well, my newest team member is... And then here comes Alberto Del Rio. He comes out. It appears to be 6 versus 5. Del Rio looks like he's got it wrapped up for Laurinaitis' team. Out comes... then Teddy Long comes out and says, wait a minute. I got a 6th man. This match isn't over. Out comes Wade Barrett, beats Del Rio, and makes Long the permanent GM of both Raw and SmackDown. Now, I know some of you out there are going to say, whoa, hold on, now you're turning Wade Barrett babyface. No, I'm not turning Wade Barrett babyface, and here's how I'm not turning him babyface. I keep Wade Barrett heel by doing it under the premise that Barrett only agreed to do this for Long, so he will become the number 1 contender to either the WWE Championship or the World Heavyweight Championship. Whichever one Barrett wanted to go for. So that way, he get a guaranteed title shot, for helping Long out. So, it would be Barrett not doing it for Long, but for his own selfish reasons, thus keeping him heel. So, the next match I would book would be Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan for the World Heavyweight title. Now, see, I'm not going to make the mistake of opening the show with that match. I'm going to put that up a little bit later in the card to kind of give you the, big feel of a championship match. Sheamus has to go over here only because, the past 4 years in the Royal Rumble, 3 or 4 years, something like that, the guy who won the Rumble has not won the championship at Mania. So, it just seems like, if you don't start having the guy who won the Royal Rumble win the championship, it just feels like, the guy who won the Rumble isn't really getting much of a prize. He's just sort of being put out there to go lose at WrestleMania. Then the next match I would have would be, I'd put on Taker versus Triple H Hell in a Cell. And the only reason I'm not putting this, last is because, I know it's not going to be the main event, and I don't think it should be. But here's how I would book this match. Taker wins after HBK, accidentally screws Triple H when he was trying to, super kick Taker, but he misses and hits Triple H. Triple H goes down for the count. Taker keeps his streak. Next, I would have the WWE Championship match. The reason I'm putting this match second to last, I'm putting it above the Hell in a Cell match, is because it's the WWE Championship. It's the most important title in the company. I'm going to treat it as such. So, CM Punk versus Chris Jericho. I think I would have Punk go over here, only because, I don't really see Jericho being in this for the long haul. I think he's just kind of in it short term. And I would actually use this match as a Jericho passing the torch to Punk here. I would make a very solid match out of it. Make it go at least 20-25 minutes. Back and forth. Punk, wins by the skin of his teeth, but still, beats Jericho, and Jericho is like passing the torch to CM Punk here. So the next, finally, it would be the match that this WrestleMania has been built around for the past year. The Rock versus John Cena. Now, after seeing last night how The Rock how John Cena basically outdid The Rock, like his rap was better than The Rock's rock concert. Yes, the Rock concert was entertaining, but I didn't feel it outdid Cena's rap. Like Cena went old school, and I thought that was excellent. I don't think we're going to see more of it, unfortunately. I wish we would, but I don't think we will. But anyway. So, even though I'm more of a Rock fan than a Cena fan, for business purposes, I would actually have Cena go over here. Only because, you gotta figure, let's face it, The Rock isn't, he's not going to wrestle full time. There's talk of him possibly coming back for SummerSlam and doing something there, I don't know what. But, The Rock isn't going to be the guy who's going to be on Raw every week, on SmackDown every week. He's not going to be on all the TV shows. So, I think that this should be for John Cena what The Rock versus Hogan was for The Rock. This should be The Rock passing the torch to John Cena. Cena should win here. Now, he shouldn't win convincingly. It should be sort of like the CM Punk versus Chris Jericho match. Like, Cena just ekes out the win, and they shake hands afterwards. And, like I said, that's like The Rock passing the torch to Cena. Personally, now, if this wasn't a business decision, I would have The Rock go over in a heartbeat. But as we know, wrestling is a business, so Cena has to go over here. The Miami crowd might not like it, but, let's face it, like it or not, Cena is the guy in WWE. I mean, he's their top moneymaker, he's their top draw. Whether people pay to see him kick some ass, or whether people pay to see him get his ass kicked. Either way, he draws money. That's just the way it is. You don't have to like it. You may think Cena's a dipshit. I'm not a big Cena fan myself, with the exception of what I saw last night. But, But I mean, like I said, it's the way it is. Cena is the guy, whether anybody likes it or not. So Rock has to do the job for Cena at Mania. It's just the way it is. So let me know your comments down below. How would you book WrestleMania? What do you think of how I book WrestleMania? You know, if you haven't, subscribe up above, like the video. Thanks for watching. This is Devious Damien for this edition of the In the Ring Show, signing out. Good night, everybody.